Everything's computer. I love Tesla. Hi guys, what's up? Welcome to the Valenti VOD. I'm your perfect and humble leader, Chris Valenti. We're gonna dive into this article that I just got on the BBC. Haven't really read it yet, just saw the title, and I thought that it would be good to cover this with you. Also, quick reminder, I make these videos live. We are live right now on YouTube. Chat, say hello. Somebody say something, say hello. If you want to make sure that you're here for that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you're notified anytime we go live. On top of that, if you want to help the channel financially, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could become a patron on Patreon. We just launched our first video on Patreon. That is a behind the scenes and what it takes to be a content creator. Doesn't take much. Also, you can become a member here on YouTube, early access to the videos. You can donate money to me. You can use a 40% off discount on Ground News. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. But regardless, let's just dive right in. Hi, everybody. So, we got this here from the BBC from 6 hours ago. We are filming this on April 4th, 2025. Worst week for U.S. stocks since COVID crash as China hits back on the tariffs. Before we do read this, I just want to tell you some breaking news that I got regarding China and tariffs and clapbacks is the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't know if you guys are big Nintendo guys. I'm a huge Nintendo guy. I fucking love Nintendo. But the Nintendo Switch 2, you're supposed to be able to pre-order it in the United States on April 9th, which is next week. And that has been pulled back. They've said that Nintendo has announced that they're removing the pre-orders from the United States specifically, and that they're going to come up with a different plan for it. They don't know about raising the price. All because, you know, like Nintendo Switch 2s, they're made in China, and we're putting a 50% tariff on all Chinese goods. Sorry, a 50% increase on the tariffs. So it's something like, in total, I don't even know. Fucking, what did we already have on China? 20% tariff, so maybe it's a 70%. Regardless, that $450 fucking Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be something like fucking $800 because of Doland the King. King Doland, please, I'm tired of winning. I'm so fucking tired of winning. I just want to play Mario Kart for the love of fucking God. Let me go. So regardless, let's dive into this. Hey, Dohairas, Likiri, Luigi, no Borg. Stock market turmoil deepened on Friday as China hit... Dude, Luigi, I swear to God, get the fuck back here. I'm so sorry. Stock market turmoil deepened on Friday as China hit back at tariffs announced by Donald Trump, raising the likelihood of an extended trade war and damage to the global economy. All three major stock indexes in the U.S. plunged more than 5%, with the S&P 500 dropping almost 6%, bringing to an end the worst week for the U.S. stock market since 2020. In the UK, the FTSE 100 plunged almost 5%, its steepest fall in 5 years, while Asian markets also dropped and exchanges in Germany and France faced similar declines. Trump, who has vowed to remake the global trade order, dismissed concerns about the market shock, noting that the U.S. labor market is strong. Hang tough, he urged his followers on social media. We can't lose. Dude, like, let me just say one thing. That I know that there's some MAGA people in here, like Grand Marquis is somebody. Grand Marquis, just to meet some middle ground here, like, you know Trump isn't never going to feel the effects of, like, a crashing economy. He's a billionaire, something like Elon Musk or whatnot. So Trump is like, hang tough, we can't lose. You do know that he's, like, you may feel the effects of a crashing economy, but he's a fucking billionaire. He's not going to fucking feel the punishment of an increased price of eggs. You know what I mean? So this is a little bit fucked up. You know, I feel like that, at least even if you fucking hate me and you love Donald Trump, this is like so out of touch. Hang tough. There are people who are living paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford a massive increase in prices. They can't afford hyperinflation. People out there have to choose between paying for the fucking rent and paying for the fucking groceries. You got to admit that, like, that's real in this nation, right? Grand Marquis, come on. That exists. And the market is crashing, and he's telling people to hang on. What about the Democrats the last 4 years? Did you forget about that? No, Joe Biden fucking sucked. The Democrats sucked. But this crash, the one day, it was worse than the past 5 years. As you can see right here. All three major stock indexes in the U.S. plunged more than 5%, dropping almost 6%, bringing to an end the worst week for the U.S. stock market since 2020. Now, this isn't like liberal media. This is the fucking BBC. This is British news. They have no vested interest in swaying the public opinion of American politics, you know? Anyway, let's keep on reading. I like discourse. I don't mind having Trump supporters in the chat. Having civil conversations is important, but it's when people start to get weird that, you may end up getting hitting with the ban hammer. Just don't get weird. Just don't get weird. Anyway, what did he say? Grand Marquis said in response, he said, BBC is trash. I don't know why you would say that. Yeah, the stock market is tanking, but it's all part of the plan. So to people watching this, this is what you're up against. People who are watching their own demise, watching the collapse of the U.S. economy, the collapse of the global economy, and they go, it's all part of the plan. This is why I tell you that there's between like 12 and 30% of the nation is in a cult, where there's nothing that can happen that will actually pull them out. They can watch the market collapse and go, it's fine. Those people are not people that it's worth like wasting your energy on. But there are people, excuse me, there are people who are willing to be reasoned with. There are people who will see the light eventually, and do not discard them. Anyway, the global stock market has lost trillions in value since Trump announced sweeping new 10% import taxes on goods from every country, with products from dozens of countries, including key trading partners such as China, the European Union, and Vietnam, facing far higher rates. You think that everyone that doesn't agree with you is a cultist? No, I do understand that there are Republicans out there. I have Republican friends, and like more power to you. You can have your own beliefs in whatever policies you want. I do think that there's a large amount of people who there's nothing Donald Trump can do that would get them to jump ship on him. What I will say to you while I continue with reading is, Grand Marquis, if you could please tell me one thing that Trump could do that would make you stop supporting him. I'm genuinely curious. I'm sure you can come up with something. I don't care how hypothetical. Anyway, let's keep on reading. Analysts say the moves, some of which are due to go into effect as soon as Saturday, amount to the biggest tax increase in the U.S. since 1968. They expect the measures to lead to a contraction in trade and have warned they could drive many countries into an economic recession. China responded to Trump on Friday by hitting U.S. goods with import taxes of 34%, curbing exports of key minerals and adding U.S. firms to its blacklist, describing Trump's actions as, quote, bullying and a violation of international trade rules. Other countries appear hoping they will be able to negotiate deals, despite conflicting signals from the White House about its appetite for talks. Trump clearly is not in the mood to negotiate. He's not the type of guy who negotiates. He just like demands what he wants. It's very interesting. Oh fuck. Here we go. Maros Sefcovic, the trade commissioner for the EU, which has said it plans to retaliate, said Friday that he had a, quote, frank 2-hour exchange with U.S. officials and wrote on social media that the trade relationship needed a, quote, fresh approach. Quote, the EU's committed to meaningful negotiations, but also prepared to defend our interests, he said. We stay in touch. Very interesting. Okay, so we've got the response from Grand Marquis when I asked him if there's anything Trump could do that would get him to stop supporting him. Let's see what he says. I criticize his soft stance on abortion, his false Christian persona, his softness on Hamas, and his handling of Ukraine and Russia. Okay, well, I don't agree with probably your takes, but I will say I will commend the fact that you are capable of criticizing him. That is important. Do not praise political leaders. There's no point. He's not a fucking god. He is a man, and he's a corrupt man, just like every other goddamn politician. But you're entitled to your opinion. I firmly believe in a woman's right to an abortion. I don't really care about Christianity too much. I was raised Christian. I'm not Christian anymore. I feel like people should have the freedom to practice whatever religion they want. His softness on Hamas, he definitely has not been soft on Hamas. We armed Israel with like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of weapons, and Israel bombed the ever-loving fuck out of them. And his handling of Ukraine and Russia, I agree. I don't like his handling of Ukraine and Russia. He's really been appeasing Vladimir Putin. Granted, I don't know why you don't like his handling of Ukraine and Russia. There's plenty of things I criticize about him, but he's far better than the other choice we had. Well, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not going to fucking scream at you. I don't think Kamala Harris was a good candidate. I do think she was a better choice than Mango Mussolini, but I would never die on the hill of Kamala Harris being a good candidate. She was a dog shit candidate. Anyway, let's keep on reading. Trump's moves are consistent with promises he had made on the campaign trail last year, but they were still far more reaching than many analysts had expected, sparking some of the worst days for the stock market since 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic led to global shutdowns and other disruption. The sell-off started with firms such as Apple and Nike, which rely heavily on suppliers in Asia, but on Friday it moved into sectors that would typically not face direct impact of tariffs, such as consumer staples, healthcare, and utilities. Quote, "Candidly, the mood is pretty sour, and it should be," said Mike Dixon, head of research and quantitative strategies at Horizon Investments in the U.S., warning that it will take weeks to understand the impact of Trump's tariffs. Quote, "What we're really worried about right now is what we saw at 6 a.m.-ish when China retaliated." He said, "How much more of that is out there?" I mean, that's a good point. This is only day 2, guys. This is only day 2, and these tariffs seemingly are permanent because they've been asked whether or not this is going to be reversed, and it doesn't seem like it will be. I would have much rather had DeSantis. I didn't like DeSantis. The Trump 28 stuff and the 100-term comments I just said to troll the libs. Well, I'm glad. Listen, if you have to choose whether or not you support the Constitution or whether you support a Trump 3rd term, because the only way for Trump to get a 3rd term is to circumvent the Constitution. So that's a you problem. Brendan Herrera should be ATF director. He'd do a great job in Florida. Is that the AK guy? Are you talking about the fucking AK guy? Like the YouTuber? That's a little wild. I don't know. Listen, Donald Trump is a goddamn president, and he was a reality TV star, so I don't know what the fuck is going to stop him, the YouTuber. Anyway, let's keep on reading because I want to finish up the good part of this article. In a note to investors, JP Morgan said it now put the odds of a global economic recession this year at 60%, up from 40% previously, noting that the shock from the tariffs could drive growth in the U.S. down by 2 percentage points this year. I will say one thing real quick. On the campaign trail, the fucking MAGA chuds kept on saying that if Kamala, and even Trump himself, said that if Kamala Harris is elected, she's going to crash the U.S. economy. Trump fucking crashed the U.S. economy overnight. So why isn't MAGA capable of calling him out for this? I don't understand. Unless they're just like, no, crashing the U.S. economy is a good thing. What the fuck is going on? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? Anyway, let's keep reading. Some investors downplayed the losses, noting that they follow an astonishing run-up in the value of share prices in the U.S. over the past few years. Quote, "These shifts in the market that we're seeing in..." What the fuck? "These shifts in the market that we're seeing in the market..." What are you, rapping? "They're violent because things go down a lot quicker than they go up," said Tim Pagliara, chief executive of Tennessee-based CapWealth. He said the White House was attempting a, quote, "big reset in global trade, but the effort was needed." Quote, "We've talked about trade imbalance my entire career. Nothing's ever happened, so something has to happen," he said. "We are going to level the playing field on some of these relationships that have just gotten out of balance." Speaking on Friday, Jerome Powell, the head of U.S. Central Bank, said he thought the economy remained, quote, "solid," pointing to the latest data showing strong hiring in the U.S. in March, but he acknowledged a high degree of uncertainty. Quote, "What we've learned is that the tariffs are higher than anticipated, higher than almost all forecasters predicted," Mr. Powell said, warning that growth would slow and prices were likely to rise. Well, yeah, I mean, of course prices are going to rise. I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that. People aren't that fucking stupid. Bal Bjorn, literally not true. FDR served 4 terms like 80 to 90 years ago. What did Bal Bjorn say? Grandma, what American history of term limits have always existed since the first president? Yeah, so Bal Bjorn, you guys are both wrong, okay? Here's the thing. Term limits existed as a courtesy. It was never written into law. And it became a courtesy after George Washington refused having a third term in 1796, right? He said, like, hey, we probably shouldn't do that, right? That was not law. But every president since, up until FDR, decided not to run for a third term because George Washington did. FDR was such a good fucking president that people encouraged him to run for a third term, and there were no rules against it, so he did. And then the same thing a fourth time, and then he died 3 months into that fourth term. After he died, both sides of the government realized we should probably make term limits a law. We should probably codify this into law because this could fuck with both of us, Democrats and Republicans, considering if the other team gets somebody in there, we're going to be pissed if there's no fucking term limit. So yes, now there are term limits. Yeah, I know that. You aren't telling me anything I haven't heard, but just because it's a courtesy doesn't mean it's a requirement. No, it is a requirement now, Grand Marquis. In 56? I forgot exactly what year, but the 22nd Amendment was codified into the U.S. Constitution, and now we do have 2 term limits. No person shall be elected to the office of president more than twice. That is the 22nd Amendment. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of this article because it's going to keep on going, and I think that the people watching this on YouTube fully understand it. You can get this article yourself on the BBC. But real quick, to the people who are watching on YouTube, I'm going to end this. To the people who are watching live, stay here. To the YouTube people watching this pre-recorded, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Costs you nothing, helps me immensely. If you do want to help me out financially, you can become a patron on Patreon. You can become a member here. You could buy some of this dope-ass fucking merch down below, and you can use a 40% off discount on Ground News. Thank you for tuning into the Valenti VOD, and I'll catch you tomorrow for Rabbit Hole.